Enjoy. No game, but I know.
Plus, enjoy exceptional financing all today.
With Seapart Professional Detailing and Bonding Privacy with Seapart Window Tint. For a limited time, tint 2-part windows at Seapart for only $75. Professional.
Oh, I just told you the one. Yeah.
May 2nd, 2024, hearing of the zoning board of appeals of the town of Grand Island is now in session. This meeting may also be joined by Zoom through a link from our webpage and viewed live on YouTube. I'd like to introduce our members of the board, Betty Harris, John Rattle, Jim Phillips, our alternate Michael Tagaro, and the chairman, Robert Messmer. Also in attendance tonight is Code Enforcement Officer Nick Luttrell. Matters before the board this evening will be taken in order in which they appear on the agenda. The board shall hear and decide appeals pursuant to the provisions of the laws of the state of New York. This is a legal hearing, and all participants should consider themselves to be sworn to make accurate statements and charged with bringing all pertinent facts to the board's attention. Any discovery of false testimony and or withholding of facts will be grounds for a review and reconsideration. As each agenda item is addressed, the appellant or their representative will be addressed to present their request. After the board hears from the appellant, we will hear from anyone wishing to speak for or against each issue. All parties will be required to give their name and address for the record. Once a determination has been made, any party who feels aggrieved by the CBA's decision to file an Article 78 proceeding with the state Supreme Court within 30 days of the filing of the said decision, the town clerk's office. This hearing will now commence. The first appellant to come forward, state your name and address for the record. And that would be 111 Parkview, Daniel O'Brien.
Hello, Dan O'Brien, 111 Parkview Drive, Grand Island, so.
What else would you like to do?
Build a garage on the backside of my driveway. To free up space in the driveway with my boat. The 3 vehicles. And lawnmowers that can go on and on. So just trying to make it more curb appealing to.
Yes, I'm assuming that from what I read here, that it's 15 feet in the backside, lot line to your garage. And the front's 5 feet, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Anything further?
Yeah, well, because of the location of the driveway and the access to get the boat in. I'm talking about 50 feet of truck and boat trailer with boat. It's with a dual axle, anybody that's trying to back one up knows that I'm not lifting first of all the tongue. And moving them by hand, and they're tough to start that, angle in. So I need kind of a straight trajectory, otherwise I wouldn't try to move it over farther. So I'm kind of at the mercy of where, my driveway was put in, so. I had my actual neighbor who is the affected area, yeah, 115, he's at 180. Yeah.
If you could come up to the mic and just speak in the mic and
Dr. Lucas and 115, Parkview Drive, right next door to our driveway side. Dan has walked us through where he's planning, and I believe no issues. He has. Thanks. I have photos here of the backyard of anything that might help you guys with like a visual. I can pass along. I kind of. So I basically made a little stencil of what it, and you have the. This is the diagram I submitted, and I think you have a copy of that, so the location. This view right here is from, I'm trying to stay with the, there's a post right here, a post here, that would be the front, out to the back, and it's not in line with the driveway. If you notice, the driveway is at an angle, and that's why I got 15 feet in the back.
Yes.
But if I'm staying it with more of a true, and I think aesthetically it would look better from the street. Of course, I back up to the parkway. And it's a tree line where you can't even see, when everything's in bloom, you can't even see the house. I have a letter across from Bob and Fran across the street. Also, I want to anyone understand that there was no problem either. So if anybody, any of the neighbors, they had no conflict with this.
Any further?
I have more photos if you guys want to, you're welcome to. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh. You want to add anything to it, Tim? Did I miss anything?
No.
I have my lot lines mapped out and everything's staked. This is, the boat that I'm trying to maneuver and get the vehicles. This is what I'm putting up. Structure like that with the, little overhang. I want to really. Sure,
What it's gonna look like,
sure.
because there's nothing,
They said to submit the plan if during the next process, so.
right?
yeah.
So it's.
Yeah.
This-
That'll be the front of the building. This is, look down the side.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
It's, I'll just be asking.
Okay. Just, I wanted to make sure that.
You about to see them over there? See them.
Because usually we have a plan for Tuesday, this is good.
Oh, okay, yeah. You need anything else?
Where did I look? Oh, this one's-
Okay.
Thank you.
Not sure what, I had some notes, but really what you really, I mean, it's the storage, to get everything out of the driveway, you know, retired and, just moving vehicles around for, you know, the season for, you know, snow plowing and stuff like that, it's just getting more difficult every year, so that's why I want to do something about it.
Once you have the C permit, we'll see if anyone else has comments.
All right, thank you.
Anyone like to come forward or against the variance at 111 Park? Nick, anybody online?
Does anyone online wish to speak regarding 111 Parkview Drive?
By Betty, seconded by Mike, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Not totally in favor of it, it's supposed to property line, but on the other hand. I was there. It goes a lot, I don't see that it's gonna alleviate the property line a lot. We've got it done a little bit now, I'm trying to understand it. And if he goes, if he moves the building over, he's not gonna be able to get his boat in. Trying to make a turn on the driveway.
Or a bigger lot, that'd be a different situation. That's not.
I don't see it, there's, if we're gonna give it to him, he has lots, we're just gonna put it out where it is.
Okay, anything further? Okay, would someone like to make a motion for a variance at 111 Parkview? Okay. Motion by Tim,
I'll make a motion for a variance for 111 Parkview Drive, Grand Island. For a required side yard variance of 13 feet to the lot line. Back up the front.
13-foot additional.
13-foot additional, so it would be a 5-foot. To the property line variance, so it'd be a 13-foot variance.
Correct. That's
So 13-foot variance to the property line on the north side. And an area variance of 600 feet.
your motion by Tim, second.
Can we do those separately? Can we do those separately?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we'll make the first one be for the variance for a 13-foot side yard setback on the north side, lot lines.
Motion by Tim, second by Betty, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Someone like to make a motion for the second.
I'll make the motion for an area variance of 600 for the purpose of putting up big storage garage at 111 Parkway Drive.
A motion by Tim, second by
I'll second.
Betty. All in favor?
Aye.
So the rationale would be there's really no other place to put it in this lot if we're going to give them the variance. It's trying to boat in there, it lines up with the driveway. The building is aesthetically pleasing. And it's just for this lot, there's simply no other area. And also the neighbors are all for it.
There you go.
Okay.
The second tonight for Regency, Brian Kenny.
He's on Zoom. That's on
That's him? Okay.
Okay, Brian, would you like to tell us what you'd like to do?
We ask him to unmute.
the architect.
This is, you said. Okay. You could unmute to speak on behalf of 64 Regency.
Sorry,
Oh, no problem. Name and address for the record.
my name is William Hovey. I'm the architect representing the Denning family. My address is 400 Allenhurst Amherst, New York, 14226.
Would you like to tell us what you'd like to do at 64 Regents Court?
The Dennings would like to put on a new front porch and put in a foyer with closets so they have some storage in the front of the house. And above that foyer, we want to expand one of the bedrooms on the second floor and put windows that actually face the street. The main section of the house is a gable roof, but the flat section of the gable actually faces the cul-de-sac. And reviewing the setbacks with the planner in the department, in that zoning classifications, it's a 35-foot setback, with the exception of cul-de-sacs where it's a 25-foot setback. They put a garage on at some point after the initial construction, which fell within that 25-foot setback. We're trying to put an addition on that kind of mimics the front of the garage, but due to the radial line setback of the cul-de-sac, a very small portion of the corner is crossed at the worst condition 3 feet and then goes to nothing within that radial setback line, which helps their house, I think, look more approachable from the street, having a reverse gable on the front facing the street, and it gets them the window on the front of the house plus the foyer and makes their house complete.
Anything further? William, is there anything further on the project?
I think that sums up the project from, the architectural standpoint.
Okay.
We've been to the architectural review board and were approved. They had requested information on what the siding was going to be on the addition, and I provided that to the planning department, saying that it was going to be a shingle instead of the vinyl siding that's on the house.
Okay. Anything further?
I think that does it.
Okay, just hang out for a few minutes.
Okay.
Come forward in regard to 64. Nick, anyone else online?
Susan, would you like to speak on behalf of this project? You are muted, by the way.
No, mine is number 5.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to close the, let's talk about it. Yeah, close the public hearing. Go ahead. Okay, motion by John, seconded by Tim. All in favor? Okay, let's start. It appears to only be the 3-foot variance.
Yeah, but it's still.
And it should be a nice project and look very nice.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion for the variance?
I'll make a note. There it is. 64 Regency Court, the required front yard setback of 3 feet.
Okay, seconded by?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mike. All in favor? Rationale?
Minuscule amount, and that 3 feet is only for part of the addition that's going on. Part of it is kind of a 0-foot range. Yes, it's very loose, and it'll look nice with the house the way they're doing it.
Williams, you're all set, just get a permit.
Thank you very much.
No.
Nice evening.
Okay, number 3, 1217 Whitehaven, Jason Rackley.
Jason Ryan, 1217 Whitehaven. We're here to ask for a variance for size. We plan on building a garage for storage. I have one plastic car here on now and one in Buffalo. I'd like to be able to bring both home, multiple lawnmowers and equipment. And basically,
We need two variances. Two variances. 480 square foot area variance and a 2 foot height. A 2 foot height variance.
I'm not any question of the height of 18 feet. That's 16 feet.
So that.
I have to agree, John.
That was the old code, it was 5 foot setback and 18 feet in height. Now it changed for every zoning district has a particular height.
Hang on one second. Two acres.
On the property, it is 18 foot tall, but it's over the mesh down. No, I'm sorry, it's 16 foot. The current lot is 16.
And just make sure that we're speaking louder into the mic so everyone could hear. Just everyone in general.
No, that's it.
Okay. Would anyone like to come forward in regard to 1217 and Plainville? Anybody online? No? Would like to make a motion to close the public meeting.
Motion closed.
Motion by Betty, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Does anybody need to leave?
Yeah. It's a huge lot. There's no accessible. Area is not accessible either. Someone can make a motion. Anybody have this land? Obviously.
I'll make a motion for a. We'll make a motion for a maximum area for accessory structure variance. At 1217 Whitehaven Road of 480 square feet.
Okay, motion by Tim, seconded by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'd also like to make a. At 1217 Whitehaven Road, 2 foot height variance. For the same structure.
Okay, motion by Tim,
Second.
by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Rationale is, the lot is huge that's going on. Drainage won't be a problem. Both the variances are very minor. We recognize the need for storage.
Okay, you're all set to go. Let's get it from there.
Okay, thank you.
You won't, thank you. Okay, number 4. 1865 Stony Farms. Do you know?
Yes, sir.
How
you folks doing?
Good. Okay, name and address, please.
Stephen Kaplan, 1865 Stony Point Road, Grand Island here.
Tell us what you'd like to do.
Well, we'd like to build a farm that would declutter our yard. You got an RV, a 40-foot, 10-foot thing. And I got tractors we got a couple of acres under lawn and all the attachments. And then I need to be able to bring the saloon in land. It's not easy, so we've got this all planned. And found a fellow who will do this. Have you all been out there? Got some pictures.
I think everybody has.
Oh, yeah, okay. So as far as the setback goes, there's a swale between our property line. The neighbor's quite happy with this because we'll be able to improve with the height of the building. We'll be able to improve the conductor line, taking all that water around flat spots and moving that with the pressure of the 16-foot high gutter be able to get some pressures to move everything up to the ditch. Also have a pond in the back, so maybe half of that, if that doesn't work out, I think I'll get some engineering on. And I can move it on the pond. Just remove that.
It's your neighbor here tonight?
No, he's not. He waved to me before we came over and wanted to rent the space. But so that's good fire. Here's, you guys have been up, so you've seen the shades. All right, so if I could speak to, so improving the drainage, and then started to check back, just improve the neighborhood, really, no, they've been very nice about that thing being there for all these years, since,
So there is an existing swell.
pardon?
There's an existing swell.
There is an existing swell sort of on the property line. That needs the other thing that'll happen because that's hot out. So that'll be all straightened out. So it'll be on the property line. The pipe that waters out.
What are you gonna do about insurance for a driveway, enlarging the driveway to make it?
Yes, sir. I'm doing it. So this is, kind of my idea for doing, yeah, we definitely do that, so, over there. So we'll come, there's a line of trees that, will come out and copy that line. That'll give me a good angle so that I can come in and park the beast.
So like the driveway's going this way.
Oh, so this is the existing.
Right.
So, if we're trying to like, one out, this is the plan to put it out.
How are you gonna get the motor home straight in? You can run a stellar driveway right out here.
No, I'm going to come in here, and then I'll be able to turn, and then make this turn and start to move that.
How come you don't wanna move the garage over that way a little bit more?
It's tight.
You could almost seem like you have.
Well, I got, well, what it doesn't show is. I've got some 70-foot, well, I've got some 60-foot trees. This is looking up from the other, from the small. So I don't want to take any of those trees down, when it's pretty narrow, once you put the trees, it looks better on the. On the.
Oh, no, it's a strange. Those trees you have to go.
Yeah, that's the tree, so it is, and that's the leaves. Well, yeah, so if we move that, then that's the choke.
Right.
That speaks, actually, those trees speak to the height of the building, it's going to be 24, 25 feet. It's going to be less than the trees and about the same as the house.
You just can't put that outside.
Yeah, if you take a look at the roof line of the house and move it out, the shed is barely visible. So it's gonna be much smaller, it's about half the height of the trees. These trees are planted up.
I can't. So putting the building where you have it and 5 feet off the property line.
Yes, sir.
I don't see where the building is hitting any trees.
No, it just chokes down the trees present, the trees are.
Oh, I see, it's coming the other way. I should-
Coming the other way, so that bringing the building over would give me a real bad choke point, moving the tractor or anything going. Any further? No, sir, I think I covered. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, they have.
Okay.
Why don't you have a seat? Does anyone like to come forward in regard to 1865 Stillingford Road? That's one on mine. I'd like to make a motion to close the public meeting. Motion by Betty, seconded by,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
What would you like to do?
I don't have any problems if I posted it in the lot line.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Wait, let's come on up here. I think everyone's on the same page. They have a little bit of a problem. Off the lot line 5 feet. Can you negotiate a little bit for it?
How if we made it 10 feet off the property line? But still giving you a variance, but would you have enough room, you wouldn't be hitting those trees?
It'd be close. When the tree keep growing.
Can the trees be trimmed up so you have more clearance?
What kind of trees are they?
Yeah, what kind of?
They're,
Evergreen?
yeah, they're evergreen, trying to remember what the pieces, but this is huge.
That is never green.
Yeah.
Can't trim those.
No,
The pond back there, so you know, it's not like you move it back or anything.
We've had problems with this in the past. It should close distance to the side of the side here. Particularly in regard to the drainage. That's why they changed the law. What do you like to do?
More than 5 feet, you can't be 5 feet, you do that, and everybody want the same thing all over again.
I
But that before.
so the question is. I think it's set up for 5 feet.
You're already 5 feet.
Yeah.
That's what this indicates on your line.
If we made it, let's say 10 feet as a number.
That'd be another 5 feet or something.
Yes.
Yeah, would that still get your job project done? Without interfering with the trees?
Which is more important.
You're,
You plant another tree, you got a lot of yard.
Can I take a look at the?
you're asking
You
for,
got a overhead picture or something?
There's your overhead.
Oh,
you're asking for a 20-foot variance.
It's a
No,
lot.
10 feet.
No, it's
You
20.
want to-
Supposed to be 25 and you asked me for 5. So it's 20 feet.
Offset from the
Side yard.
property line?
Yes.
I think.
No, we understand. That. We understand. The law said you're supposed to be 25. Okay, you're requesting 5 feet.
So Sam, is how about we make it somewhere in between, we give you 10 feet from the property line, you still complete your project with that.
The building edge of the building would be 10 feet from your property line.
Right.
We still have to give you a variance.
And another 5 feet from where the plant.
Right.
Correct.
Closer to your house.
Closer to the house.
Yeah, you move over 5 feet, that's bottom line.
Sure, we do.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Like I said, we're trying to work with you.
When you look at the way the driveway goes, it looks like you still won't even be into those trees at all.
Then I can go over and look at that.
Sure. So if
Let me look
I
at
just-
the shoulder.
if I look down here. Let's just say you were lined up, I don't think we get to that, so when you get to the driveway, you're still away from those trees already. Like you're probably a little bit more down there, so you should have a room there.
The problem is access to the backyard.
Well, he's got the other side of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
But
No, it's not a
as
side.
far as access to the backyard, the bottom of the trees, you could trim them up. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Guys. Okay,
Will it work at that, or is that?
That acceptable?
So. Yeah, I mean, so there's 3 items, the other 2, the height.
I thought it's not, doesn't affect you too much because you're so far back, you've got a big lot.
And like 300 feet back.
Yeah.
even the area variance is not huge.
Actually, if the building's 5 feet over, you may like, as far as access to the building.
It's gonna make your turn much sharper.
Much sharper.
It's gonna be not as drastic.
Okay,
I'm with the deal.
let's have a seat. Okay, would somebody like to make a motion for the first variance at Stony Point Road, which would be 1,000 square foot area variance?
I can do it.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'd like to make a variant for 1865 Stony Point Road for the area of a detached accessory structure for a 1,000 square foot area variance.
Motion by Michael, seconded by John, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Seven foot height variance. Motion by, motion by Michael, seconded by Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next. Thank you, everyone. Now, we gotta make sure it's a 15-foot variance.
Yes.
Go for it.
We're gonna make the motion for 1865 Stony Point Road. Required side yard setback for accessory, the variance is going to be 15-foot side yard variance.
Motion by Michael, seconded by.
Yeah.
My job.
Could I ask a question, sir? I don't want to interrupt. No, I thought it was from 5 feet, it's going to give me 10.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and I heard 15 feet, so I'm not.
Well, this is
Yeah.
supposed to be 25.
Oh.
10-foot variance. 15.
You're good.
I'm good.
Right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, rational.
Yes, but also, we does not have a lot of room with this garage off, or this motor office, kind of strategically placed. And, it's just not a lot of room for help. Drainage is not a problem, it's a house economy, is a very large yard.
Utilities, no commercial.
Yeah, but you're all set. You just have to go.
Okay.
Okay, item number 5. Golf Village, River Oaks. New homes.
Make sure you speak really clear and then, thank you.
Good evening, my name is William Tyne. Address is 960 Busti Avenue, Buffalo. Stop. I am from David Homes. We are the developers now of the Gulf Villas property on Whitehaven Road. Originally, this development was done by Franklin Bank, and we were other builders in the early phases, and now we've taken over the balance of the development. So the challenge that we're running into is that we're finding, at least sales department is telling us this, folks that are moving in are often having fairly large vehicles. Some of these new extended cab pickups and SUVs are fairly long, and sometimes the tail end, if they're in the driveway, is parking over the sidewalks. So right now, we are setting our homes back, the new homes back an extra 2 feet from the front yard setback to give a little more space to keep them off the sidewalks. But these lots are tight. It's a patio home development, and the lots are fairly small. So what we take from the front, we need to, what we add to the front, rather, we end up taking from the back. And the challenge becomes, and I think this has been, frankly, this has been an issue from the early days when other builders were building in this with Mr. Bank, is that they're having difficulty putting in decks and sunrooms and things like that because the setback is difficult. And of course, most of this, the perimeter is all backing up to the golf course. It doesn't really have anything else. So what we did was I came before the building department and asked if we could request single blanket variance to alter the setback within the development from 30 feet to 20 feet, which would enable folks to want, and also I would say this, people are asking to build very often the ranch footprint, which is, as you know, 2-story houses, a smaller footprint. These single-story ranches have larger footprint, but it's, it's what is known in the industry as a patio home type of development. What folks look for is typically is the interior space. They want to be able to sit out on the patio. That's the main patio development. But they're not looking for large lots to maintain. They're not looking for lots of grass to cut, and they want to enjoy that space and socialize on it. And so it's our opinion that the yards aren't really that important to the overall quality of life in the neighborhood. What is important is what we can build as a home and the ability for folks to have those rear decks, patios, storeroom room, sunrooms, that kind of thing. So what I prepared, and it is on the exhibits that I submitted, and I brought a larger print so you can see me better. And if it's necessary, I have my laptop to plug in so that you can see these, and I think I also gave PDFs that possibly they can put on the screen for you. What this is the, I mean, in the papers there, you have the maps of the subdivision maps. You see all the lots that we have. And this is a drawing that shows you up here, which models we're talking about. And let me tell you one other thing that I didn't put. These are all the models we offer in this development. I have only put on this exhibit that I showed you, the ones that encroach on the 30-foot rear yard and would need a variance. Now, the difficulty for this is, and I completely appreciate what you have to consider. I happen to be a ZBA member myself in my community, so I hear these same things. So what we're really trying to do is to give not just us and our customers, but also the town more flexibility. And what I'm showing you with these exhibits is that you can see where this dashed line is the 20-foot setback. This line is the 30-foot setback. And you can see most of these houses need not a huge variance, but I don't know which ones. The ones that are 70 feet deep are going to need the full 10 feet. I don't know where they're going to go yet. And to compound this issue, Grand Island is a community where we have to get architectural approval as well. Grand Island has made a decision. We do not want to be a cookie cutter community. So the same buildings it's not track building with the same thing repeated endlessly. So I could just say, this is the variance I need over and over and over again. I won't know. And what I really, the difficulty for us and our customers is, we don't know what they're going to pick either, but we know we're not supposed to put the same house over and over and over again, repeated. So what we don't want is to have someone come in, take out a contract to build a home with us, then go apply for a building permit, find out what variance they need, then apply for a variance, get it denied and start over, or get it approved and go to the architectural review board and hope they approve it. All of this is delay and extends things out, and it puts folks to say, I don't want to sit through all that. I'm not going to execute a contract. I'm going to walk away from the deal. So what I'm trying to say to you is, if you just grant the variance for the rear yard, I can tell you with some surety that of the 9 homes we offer in here, only 5 need a variance. So if people pick one of those other 4, no variance is required at all. I've also showed you a number of yards, and they are not applied for, that are so large, I don't have a single house, even the ones that need variances, that will need a variance on those. So there's been no application for those lots, only the ones that are tight. And we've tried to have as much discretion as possible about what we're bringing before you, and we're trying to scale it back, yet still give both the town the flexibility to just simply review it with a 20-foot rear yard like they would any other development, with saying, here's the rear yard setback, yes or no, it's approved. Or give our customers that same flexibility as well, and know that they can get through the process. I will tell you that I just ran a housing summit in Albany for the industry with government officials from communities across the state, from counties from across the state, with state legislative staff, state regulatory official staff, to look at all of these issues related to housing, because the state of New York has made a comment. And by the way, the town supervisor for Grand Island was in attendance at this. State has made it sad, point blank. We have a crisis in housing in this state. We have a crisis in affordability and supply. And the state has asked the industry to build more, build it faster, and build it more affordably. So what we're looking for is not to take shortcuts, but we are looking to make sure that the process is as streamlined as possible, so we can do the right thing, but get through the process in a timely manner so that we don't lose CEOs and we can provide more housing. And this is one of the situations I think that meets these objectives. So both of these exhibits are here. I am happy to pass these out. We can just run this past all of you if you want to see them up close. I do have some rolled up copies as well, if you want to take those. I know, I apologize. That's the case. That's what I'm here for. So,
Further question.
Just a moment, Susan. You'll have an opportunity to speak here in a minute.
I know River Oaks is sold us, but
River Oaks does not own any of these lots. These lots are all owned by us. Everybody,
up to.
we bought up to the golf course, correct? Everything we're requesting is on a lot that we own. Actually, it's a subsidiary company, Whitehaven Properties LLC owns every lot that we're here for. And there is a section, so the balance of lots in this development that are as yet unbuilt on. We're building 20 more right now that are under construction. There are another 20 that are already platted on the, essentially green side is an A shape, and Eagle View makes the cross on the A. So coming up on the east side of Eagle View, the development is in where it stops. There's 20 more lots that go up to the apex and around the corner. And then we have 20 down at the corner of the completion of Eagle View right now, and the west side of Greenside coming up from from Whitehaven. And then there's a chunk in the middle that's as yet undeveloped. There are 22 more lots in there. If I could have just hit the blanket, I would have been able to have all the land just say it's now a 20-foot rear setback, which is the maximum we'd ever be needing. And that would settle it, but the attorney made the determination, the town attorney made the determination that we need to file and apply for variance on every property individually. So I think that piece in the middle I had put on my list of properties, so that all the individual lots, either with the street being constructed now or that are recorded and under a plat but are not yet having street built in front of them, are requesting those that need a variance, those that need none are not applied for, as I said. But the big block of 22 that don't exist, they're not filed as a subdivision yet, that I don't think is part of this as much as I would love it to be. So it's just 20 all the way. And I don't know, and I think in my experience, in my board, I think we've had determinations from our municipal attorney that we have some latitude in terms of making interpretations on the code and what's required. I am not suggesting that you do anything that you're uncomfortable with. If you have, if this is your board, your discretion, and you decide that I don't want to step on those toes at all. But if you could see fit to do it, I would be really happy to walk away and just be done with this. And then from this day forward, only have to deal with this. And that'd be that. Thanks.
Okay, would anyone like to come forward?
Susan online would like to speak first. She raised her hand.
What would you like to?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. My name is Susan Kovaleski. My husband is Edward Kovaleski, and I am speaking against granting the variance by Whitehaven Properties for less than the required rear yard depth. Obviously, they've already taken it upon themselves, as the gentleman just said, they've already made a 2-foot variance themselves without any of us who live in the neighborhood are aware of. I live at 35 Eagle View. I've lived here since 2018, and this is a homeowners association. And as a homeowners association, and in purchasing our home and the salespeople selling to us and to, I'm assuming, all of our neighbors, we were all aware of the setup for the depth of the yards, the depth from the street to the sidewalk, to the porches in the fronts of the buildings, the houses. They come with certain expectations as members of the homeowners association. Otherwise, more than likely, everyone in this development would have purchased elsewhere. But we purchased here because we wanted a development that had a specific appearance from start to finish. from one street to another. And that's important. The fronts of the homes, they are all the same. It lends itself to being aesthetically pleasing for a development. And when you drive through, people are constantly saying how nice the neighborhood is. We don't mow our lawns. It's done for us. So we don't have to worry about the fronts and the backs and the size of our house. They should have similar, having been developed in a homeowner association and in a development like this. And when a developer purchases the land for this, they're aware of what they are purchasing and the variances for the neighborhood and for the city or town. We would have been, if at this point, if this changes now, then we would have been provided false or misleading information by the builder and by their salespeople when purchasing our home. This change would negatively impact the overall appearance. Primarily what the builder is looking to do is to put up bigger houses, to bring in more cars so that people can, with bigger families. Originally, this was supposed to be senior living. And all of the houses were supposed to be relatively small with seniors. Excuse me. And that's changed, which is good. It's a very nice development. We have all different age groups. It's very diverse. But I think we have to be extremely careful about changing the face of our neighborhoods too much. And so I ask that you vote against this. I ask that you hold David and the builders to the land and what they purchased when they purchased it and the variances that they abided by and would have abided by. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Susan, I have a question for you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sorry. I'm homesick. I'm sorry.
It's okay. What kind of car do you have?
We have two vehicles. My husband drives a Lexus 250, I think it is. It's a pretty good sized car, but we can park in the driveway.
And you're not blocking the sidewalk? That would be.
No. No, we are not blocking the sidewalk. And I have a Forte, which would not block the sidewalk. But my stepdaughter, because people do come and visit, my stepdaughter from out of town will come visit. And they have, I think it's an Explorer, and they can park in the driveway. They have to park up close to the, garage, but it fits without blocking the sidewalk also. It's just changing the entire, I would love a bigger driveway. But, changing things halfway through, this is what we bought into, this is the look, I'd like a bigger driveway. Let everybody get the same size driveway. It's going to change. Next thing, it's going to be, basketball hoops. It's going to be above ground pools. It's going to be fences. It's going to be the entire, it will not be a homeowners association.
Nima. You got it.
And thank you. Would anyone else like to come forward in regard to Gulf Hill?
Richard Jackman, 48 Ringside Drive, Red Island, New York, 14172. Okay. I've been at this, I've been purchased a house from Brian.
Could you speak louder into the mic, please? Thank you.
We purchased a house from Brian, who was the previous builder. Frank Brabant was the developer. Frank turned around and did his thing. What he did was allow or request that the golf course be our green space. We cannot go to the fourth fairway and have a picnic, okay, without a peril. Number one. Number two, we are paying the same taxes as everybody at this table, okay? Our taxes are the same. We do not get the same items, and this town doesn't service us in the same way, okay? Not our fault,
Frank did, Frank wanted the money. Now, if you do this, okay, this sets a precedent. What's a precedent? It means that somebody else can come before this board and say they want that for their particular development, correct? Right, gentlemen? Right, yes, okay, ma'am, sorry. And don't say you can't, because the gentleman that lived across the street from me at 45 Greenside, name was Gately, moved in. His was the only house on that side that did not have a deck. He wanted the deck. The town turned around and refused him a deck. He went and got an attorney, they referenced everybody else on that side of the street. Guess what? Precedent was set, he's got it. He gets a precedent, guess what? We're up to quick. Not only our group, many other, how many other developments do we have on the board that will be affected by this? How many other guys are coming in here wanting to develop? Please, anybody have an answer?
We've got 2 or 3 developments on the board.
Yeah,
It's gonna take years when it come through.
so years, they're just gonna turn around, there's a precedent set. We want this, we want this, we want this. Then 24th, they're gonna say we want 10, or 15, then 10. And then, hey, who cares? That's my problem, John. I do not recommend that you accept this, okay? And if it is the case, they can turn around and research houses that will fit in these lots, okay? They can do that, and they can provide them. And right now, there are 3 lots between similar houses. Okay, right? And going across the street is considered 1 lot, right? What's the big deal? Why can't he come up with some variant? Different. Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Anyone wants like to come forward in regard to the bill, don't go.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to tell those letters, to tell those letters. Brief written statement of what we're hearing on Mr. Time says. Yes, sure. My name's Dottie Chad, Robert Dottie Chad, 9 Green Second. Thank you, Mr. Time, for reinforcing the fact that we are a patio community. You kind of prefaced it from my standpoint, the way I heard it. David Stapleton solely eroded the rules of the HOA for his benefit, and now he's petitioned to the zoning board to change the rules again for his benefit. He knew what the development was all about when he purchased it. But it's nowhere what he portrayed or what we all envisioned it to be when we purchased our home. Dave Stapleton's sales pitch was that of a timeshare salesman in 1990s Orlando, Florida, and so were his promises. So now he wants longer driveways. Sue couldn't have said any better. More vehicles, bigger homes, more congested. I want to preface again patio homes. Now I'm going to say this, and I do live in 2-story home. There is a scattering of 2-story homes, and we all knew that. At least I knew that when my wife and I bought the house back in 2018. Our development was intended to be a patio home community with some 2-story homes, which I just said. I am asking the board to turn down David Stapleton and to have him deal with the rules that he was originally put in place. And I just want to add, because I think Sue Kowalski said things really well. And so Dick, and like I said, Mr. Time, thank you for helping me reinforce my thinking. It's a patio home for me. He wants to change rules like crazy. He's changed our HOA. Our HOA used to originally state we had an occupancy rule. Somehow when we got new HOA managers, that occupancy rule was allowed. Size of vehicles was originally in place when we purchased our homes. You cannot have a vehicle that cannot fit in a garage. Now, this was in one of the original one of the HOAs. Now, we gotta remember, we have changed management companies through the years. Well, now the vehicle thing is good. Swimming pools were not allowed. Swimming pools are now built in, someone put a built-in pool in, God knows how it was ever done. Motorcycles now, motorcycles weren't supposed to be. Like I said, it's a patio community, we have HOA rules. None of them are being enforced. Now, David Stapleton, he went to the road and. This is a lot of money we're talking about. I don't have to tell you people, you're very smart people, or you wouldn't be here. We're not talking about garage variance or anything. This is our life savings. This guy has changed the rules year after year after year after year. And this like Sue said, he already put houses back 2 feet. This should have been brought to the attention of the HOA board. It should have been voted. And it wasn't. There's been, like I said, he's just let things slide. So with that being said, thank you for allowing me to speak to everyone. And I just hope you really take this into some consideration. And it just isn't rubber stamped and passed on. Okay, thank you, people.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak for the golf council?
Hi. I'm going to suggest again, it's 2 things.
Yeah, you can move it. Yep.
There you go. So that's better. Okay, first of all, I have a question, and maybe you said it and I didn't hear it. The application reads for the remainder of the subdivision. And yet, in the paper, it said 26 lots. The application is for 26 lots, which is the,
It's 25 or 26, I have to call.
so it's not for the whole subdivision,
That's correct.
it's for the phase, but that's what it says in the application. Okay. In response to the notice concerning David Holmes' application for variance allowing for larger homes to be built closer to the rear lot line than is normally acceptable by the town. It's not in line with the original plan for the development. When we bought our home, it was marketed as a patio home community. This variance would allow for larger homes on small lots in a community where they weren't intended to be. We already have several large homes on these small lots. The one that borders mine, a lot that borders my lot in the back, is a 4-bedroom home with a 3-car garage and a patio home community. It's almost unbelievable. We also have no green space. The children have to have a space to play safely, and the road is not a safe place to play. How was the plan even accepted originally for over 120 homes with no green space? Probably because it was intended for smaller homes for older people. An older group of you have inhabitants, yeah. Having a smaller backyard and setting the houses back to allow for a longer driveway is not a good argument, and it's not necessary. Present driveways are long enough to accommodate parked cars without obstructing the sidewalk. I can back my car into or drive it into the driveway and have 8 feet left in my driveway that I'm not before the sidewalk.
Okay, Karen.
I have a Subaru Forester. It's not huge, but there's no problem.
The station wagon style, it's
It's
about
about, yeah. The front house line needs to be maintained. That's part of the aesthetic beauty of the neighborhood. Some lots might need to have a variance for patios, especially along the golf course. But the people can get that. That can be gotten individually with each lot, giving, permission, giving variance without knowing exactly what lot it's for, that's dangerous. That's dangerous.
They have listed the lots and
Yeah.
which ones, and there's 26.
There are 26 of them, so that's not what's in his, that's not what was in his letter, okay. This was all set up by, Krubak, and David Stapleton went and bought this, from him. When he bought Whitehaven property, he bought the whole ball of wax. And the same principles, the same goals should apply, the same kinds of housing that was already planned. What we bought into is what we should have. I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, anyone else like to come forward from the golf fellas? One more person.
Oh, there is. I'm
You
sorry.
know, I just don't get into this. They're saying that the driveways are too small and I don't have anything else that I'm gonna add to it. But I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's in my driveway.
Name and address, please.
Oh, Karen Krasik, 27 Eagle Drive. I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It fits in my driveway perfectly. It doesn't hang over onto the sidewalk. So I don't know why he is saying that these driveways are too small. They're not.
There are some people, there are some houses toward the west end, I believe it's Greenside, that have a problem where already I've seen it just
You saw it?
2 days ago.
Well, I'm just saying that, I don't know why, but I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee that fits in my driveway perfectly. I mean, maybe you have to pull it up closer to the garage instead of, leaving it back.
As
And
far
that's
as,
all I want to say.
as far as all the houses being sent back the same, they're not. We've witnessed that a couple days ago.
I'm not aware of that at all. I thought they were supposed to all be the same.
They're either supposed to, but they're not.
And
Whose fault
are
is
those
that?
David's homes that are set back?
I can't tell you.
Pardon?
I cannot tell you that.
Because he just mentioned that they had to move some back, 2 feet. And it wasn't even approved. He just did it on his own, so I can see that happening. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
The only thing that must fit in those drives.
May I ask one question? Come on up.
Which exactly 48 Greenside. What my question is, everything should be set back to 30 feet. Right?
Whatever the specs are, we don't have a spec. You say 30 is 30,
Well,
okay?
30 and 30,
Go
30
ahead.
front, 30 in the back,
Yeah, go
right? Okay? Now, how did that wind up there? Is it the builder's problem? Yes, I would say. The builder should be staying on top of what's going on. Okay, he should have a. Well, I didn't have a guy out there watching what was going on. He had a tape measure and everything else. Everything was going in according to what. Right? What's he doing? If they're not the same. It's a question I have. Thank you. Thank you.
I believe Susan has something she wanted to.
Susie, go ahead.
Thank you. As other homeowners and have noted, this is our livelihood. We invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into these homes. And when you move into a homeowners association, you know what the rules are. I knew the day we came in the length of my driveway. I wouldn't buy some F-150 pickup truck if I was going to be living in this development. If I wanted an F-150, I'd live somewhere else. But by voting for this variance, you're saying that the rest of us who have purchased our homes, who have lived here, some for 20 and 30, 20 years or more possibly, we don't matter. But that the builder and the builder's money is all that matters, and that they're the ones that have control versus the people who live in this town, who shop at the shops in this city, town, and who support the organizations. Those are the people who you as town officials need to be supporting and taking care of. It's us, the homeowners. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll let this go this time, but after that.
Oh, no, I understand, we all want to, I understand.
Not going home, we just, everybody wants to come up again and
Well,
again.
I think
That's
that's,
what you say,
I think that is where people talk.
Yeah, I understand.
It brings more things to light. Like Sue said, you know, you can't stop people from having trucks the size of the state of Rhode Island. You know, that happens. But exactly what Sue was saying, I mean, you can fit vehicles in the driveway. There's another agenda to this whole thing. He wants bigger homes, he wants basketball hoops eventually someday. And Mr. Kine, who said it better, you need a definition of patio homes. Give me the definition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to correct some mischaracterizations that have been said here. I think we need to be clear.
Can you speak up so we can hear you, please?
Sure. The setback issue is, we have not requested a setback on the front yards, nor do we need to. The setbacks are minimum dimensions. You can build more than the minimum dimension. You can't build less without a variance. So to set a house back 32 feet instead of 30 feet is not a variance. It is allowed by code already. And so all we're doing is, and quite frankly, as you pointed out in your own observations, let me show you a little bit of this. This is, you could, I guess, pass my phone around if you want. I can turn on the layer that shows aerial photography as well. This is the planimetric view of, on the Erie County website. This is not my drawing. This is Erie County. So this is a superimposition of the photography. Every house that's already built. And by the way, the place where we're looking right now, to be clear, is we're looking for the 20 lots here that are being built now, and 20 lots that are here. And of those 40 lots, we're only 26 because a number of them are already large enough that they're large enough that we're not requesting a variance because everything fits. We are not asking to build bigger homes. That's simply not true. We're building the same homes we've always built in this development. What we're finding is that we're not the ones that pick their vehicles. They're the ones that are picking Suburbans and extended cab trucks, not us. So, and that's just the industry. That's a choice that people want to make. And so, as you've observed, there are issues with sidewalks being blocked. All of these homes are already built in here. Most of them not by us. All the folks that are here to speak are from here. So everything that we're requesting is not impacting them. It does not, I don't want to diminish it because they live in the neighborhood. So it is an issue, but we're not changing the front yards. We're building this. And I'm going to tell you that if you drive through, you can see which houses are not at 30 feet already, that were already built in the first phase by Ryan, not by us. They're not all at 30 feet. It's virtually imperceptible. These folks don't even realize that they're not at 30 feet. 2 feet, especially when you have a front that articulates and the house isn't even uniformly 30 feet. So we're really not impacting the quality of life or the appearance of the neighborhood at all from the front yard, which in the parlance of the industry, the front yard is considered the public realm. It's the place where people communicate and share with their neighbors. The rear, from the front of the building back to the rear, is considered the private realm. No one's allowed back there unless they're invited in. And so that aspect, no one sees what the backyard looks like. None of these folks are going to be impacted at all by that. And I don't, again, want to diminish their issues. Clearly, they're concerned about maintaining their property values. These values, I would dare say, have gone nowhere but up, but we're not building bigger houses. Some of that's just because things cost more today is the reason they're going up. And there's a simple fact that it's harder and harder to find places to live. This is a patio home development because people want to spend time outside just on the patio. This is not a place. These yards, no matter what we build on these yards, they are not big enough to throw a ball and have a volleyball net and do the kind of things you would do in an R1E subdivision in the town of Grand Island. These are very, very small lots with a high, what's called percentage of lot coverage by structure. No matter what we do, these yards are very small. And so we've tried to be very careful about asking only for those areas where we think we're going to need it and maintain that flexibility of decision-making. That's all, but we're not altering the form. We're not building bigger houses. And you can see everything that's been built in here is pretty much the same size. Things have not gotten bigger. The only ones that are smaller are the ones that are the 2 stories. Everything else is pretty much the same. And then again, the difficulty for us, the hardship is that we don't know what the architectural review board is going to approve. We have not added new models. These are the same models we've been offering all along. We're not making changes, but we're having difficulty with people who pick these models and then say they want to put things on the back, projections off these sunrooms or covered porches, which are not allowed. You could build a patio and have it project into a yard, but you cannot do that if you have a covered roof with a foundation or you build a deck. Those kind of things are prohibited, and all to the point that even in those early phases, someone mentioned it already, homes that we did not build, homes that we were not involved with, we had no ownership in this development at that time. Folks were trying to build these facilities and were not allowed to do it, and they sued the town to get to the point where they were allowed to put some of these things in. We're trying to avoid all of that conflict, and if you, I don't want it, again, to diminish things, but as is typical with the public hearing process in this country, as constituted, a very small, very highly motivated and vocal minority can affect really good decision making. So when you look at how many houses, the majority of people are not here objecting to what we're asking. We have a group who have sincere concerns, and I appreciate them, and we do not in any way want to diminish what they bought or hurt their property values at all. We do want to improve the quality of life. This is for the people who want to move into the neighborhood who aren't here yet. This isn't for us. It's not for us to make more money. It's to be able to build a house that people can have some utility over. And when you see a little bit of a change, you're 100% right that a patio home community typically has been built by empty nesters. That's because families with small kids. Sure.
Originally, these started out in 1,600 square. What's the maximum square footage you're looking at now with this third phase?
I would say that it's, well, that's originally was when Ryan was building.
1,600, here it is right off the internet. That was all I needed. It was 16 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Not from David Holmes. That's
This
from,
is the development itself.
yeah, I don't.
1,600 was what they were starting out at.
Start.
I'm just asking, what's the square footage of what he's proposing?
I didn't provide square footages and I didn't calculate them. I gave you the footprint of every one with dimensions, so you can, you know, do some math, but they're not pure rectangles. You know, these houses go from 40 by 51. And then there's notches out of that. It's not a pure rectangle. So then
That's basically 2-story size. We can have 801.
that's 2040. That's a 2-story.
Mhm.
There's 39 by 64. The ranch. That's 2496, but these are not the things that we have, again, when you're looking at it saying that's the minimum, that's a minimum. It's not what you
That's
can
what the
build.
development started out as, and if they
As
check.
a maximum, it started off as a
Yeah,
maximum.
this is right off your internet. This is right here. I just pulled it today. Because I've been in those. I was in the first 2 models that were there. And the problem that involved with the 2 models were they were set up and they had decks on it. And people would come in and want to buy them and say, well, I want to put a deck on it. Well, after the first one, who was a handicapped person
who needed the deck for a ramp and stuff outside, the town did grant that. And then after that, the salespeople, which are the ones that sell those, told everybody, if you want anything else, you have to do it after you close and get your own building to do it. They could do a patio right up to the setback for the golf course, but they couldn't put a structure just like you said. And that's what evolved from that.
So what, I don't know what this came from specifically, but the way it is written, the copy here looks to be a description of a particular house.
Yeah,
Not a
1,600 square.
not a restriction in a homeowners association that says this is all you can build.
What is the maximum you're looking at? And what's he looking at to put in?
It depends on what model people pick, and it depends on what options they pick in terms of elements that they add up. They are not just a standard tract building development. Correct, that it is not very many patio homes are tract. They are the same thing repeated over and over and over again, which Grand Island does not allow. So we don't build that. We offer for the customer a basic set of models, which you saw 9 of them, and each one of those has elements that can be varied by the customer, which is something that Grand Island demands. So that we're not building the same thing over and over
You
again.
answered my question. I was curious on how big they were looking to build, and you answered that.
Yeah.
So that would not be considered a patio home, it would be considered a 2-story home.
Some are 2-story. There's none of that are really big that in terms of the footprint. The ranches have the largest footprint. That's the
They
same
have to
everywhere.
be because of foundation.
Exactly. And what this is saying is this is a description. I don't know what model it doesn't say, but it says this 1,600 square foot home with full basement is steps to the golf course and a short walk from many marinas, bike paths to the island offers. This is copy for sales for a specific
Right.
building,
That
not a
facility-
restriction in an HOA.
Well, I didn't say it was a restriction. I'm just saying this is what they started out as.
Things started out, that's, I guess it's how you phrase it and present it. Saying it started out that way makes it sound to me as though the development was started, and it started by saying, we're offering 1,600 foot square
That's
homes, and
correct.
now you're making them bigger. That's not what that is.
No, I'm
That's for a
just
specific
pointing out, and I was asking you, what is the square footage he's looking at now? With what they started out at, and you answered that.
Okay. And so again,
2,500, 2,400 change, and then 2,400, but the cost is not balancing. Either that they can customize, zoning,
Oh, yeah.
everybody can do it.
Anything
So,
would be custom.
so because the biggest house is 3,000 square foot, or is that fully out?
they're not gonna fit on those
They couldn't
lots.
go that
It'll be
high.
respectfully, it's probably.
They couldn't go that high.
And Susan made a comment that her house is currently over 2,000 square foot. But the big issue they're having is the golf course side is not counting as green space because that is what they are told. They cannot utilize the golf course side of as green space.
So
And
they have absolute.
if they're abutting the golf course, that is what they have been told according to Susan. So the rear yards that abut up against the golf course, they can't consider that open green space for the development.
What they built, they can use it.
They can't utilize, I think a gentleman earlier said that they can't even have a picnic out there or do anything on the golf course because it's the golf course. I think they put no trespassing signs or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But that's kind of a point that Susan, I think, has come across. Her house is over 2,000 square foot. But in the back, the green space, especially if it butts against the golf course, can't be counted as green space. At least that's what they've been told.
So if I may, I began to try to explain that the patio home development typically is not geared for families because the yards are simply not big enough for the uses that kids demand. When you go through patio home development anywhere, and you typically do not see trampolines, shed houses. Some of these things can absolutely be restrictions in an HOA. I'm not saying that they're not, but they're because the lots are so small and the houses take up so much of the lot in terms of percentage of lot coverage by structure, which is all allowed by the design and by the codes, then you simply can't put those facilities in, so people don't choose them. What we have seen over time as it's become more and more difficult for people to buy really big lots that are incredibly expensive and build really big houses that are expensive, families are now having to make a decision and move into places that have smaller and smaller yards. So that's just a financial reality as the housing prices have soared. Not because people are trying to make a lot of money, but because it costs more to build things. And so the element here that we're talking about is that it is still that type of development. People are saying, we're gonna be setting a precedent. You guys are ZBA members, you know that the decisions you make here are not considered precedent setting. Everyone has to come individually and make their own case. What we do here tonight is no precedent for going forward. So it is simply, again, I appreciate what folks are saying, but I don't want to have what we're asking for to be mischaracterized. We're building the same houses we always have. We're looking to have flexibility for people so they can build what they're trying to fit on these lots and still have a good quality of life. We're making a 2-foot setback change. We're asking, we're doing it on our own, but very often people set things back that dimension on. Anyway, as you've seen in the early phases that we didn't even built in rather. So this is not an unusual situation, but we're trying to work and give people all these different elements and balance them, yet still build something that people are proud of and not impact everyone else adversely. Don't want to belabor this and just keep on going and saying the same thing over and over again. But I hope you understand what we're talking about, and the idea is flexibility to keep these permits on track, because if we have to stop and ask for this every single time, these things will disappear, contracts will fall off, we won't be able to close these deals, and it's gonna hurt everything. And again, you can see no variance requested on any of those, they don't need it. These don't need variances. Most of the buildings we fit, it's only the extreme ones that are going, the biggest ones that go all the way back. Most of them that we offer need no variance because we're building the same houses. And some of these are, none of these need a variance. And this is where the houses that exist are. Nobody here tonight is backing up to any of this. Most of these folks are backing up to the golf course. No one sees any of this. It's all in backyards and it doesn't affect the character of the neighborhood. That's the bottom line.
They do in front or two if you're moving.
That was the very first thing I said, is that we're trying to accommodate folks in what they're buying, which we have no impact on, we have no self-ours. And so to help them out, because this is the choice they've made, we've moved the house back 2 feet. Normally, a builder wouldn't build anything at the exact 30-foot line, because no one builds with that kind of tolerancing and precision. So it is very common to even have the building plot plan submitted with a building permit to be at 31 feet out of the gate. So that you don't build it, have a mistake and have it at 29 feet, 3 inches and need a variance after you built it and put that whole thing at risk. So people don't build at 30 feet precisely. You start typically at 30, which means we're really pushing it back 1 extra foot, which no one will ever be able to even see walking down the street and be able to tell me whether it's 31, 32, 30, 29.5, which would need a variance. No one could tell any of that. Truthfully.
As I see it right now, though, you're requesting a 10-foot variance, so that house is going to be back 10 feet further.
No, absolutely not. What we're talking about is building it at 32 feet, keeping all that line, building the same houses we've been building at those distances already. And then in the back, being able to put a covered porch that would, a patio could go into that rear yard, but a covered porch cannot. So if we have the rear yard variance, yeah. And it's only the houses that are the deepest homes that are projecting into that. I've even tried to mirror these to push the biggest house so it gets it, but even still, it creeps into that. But if you look at, let's go to this. And I gave you the architecturals for the largest house. This is every house we're offering. These are all on top of one another, superimposed. As you can see, most of them, this is the 30-foot rear setback. That's the 20-foot rear setback. They are all 30, but they're shown at 32. It's very difficult to even see it on a plan, let alone physically in person. And the fronts are all, they articulate, so it's imperceptible. As far as where they fit, most of these models going up here, they all fit. And if that's what comes before the architectural review,
even if you grant this variance, these lots will not demand it, they won't use it. But I don't know which ones are gonna go, and people that pick the biggest one, we're trying not to interrupt that process. So those few lots that get it, out of the 26, a small fraction will actually demand it. But it lets us keep moving forward without interrupting, because this is a town that has a different process than every other town. And so only those biggest ones, which I'm not allowed to build over and over and over and over again, are the ones that need the 10 feet. Most of them do not.
This has nothing to do with the front yard.
Nothing to do with front yard, only the back.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
You have a number of choices here.
Most of them.
You'd like to make a motion to close the public meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by John, seconded by
Second.
Michael, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have three choices. For, against it, or table it till next month.
Well, we can discuss it.
Pardon?
So we can discuss it a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, isn't the concern was over covered porch? Isn't a solid covered porch a different situation than, let's say, a Kohler awning? Kohler awning, I believe you, if I'm not mistaken, a Kohler awning, because it's not permanent, you take it down in the winter time, you can put that off the back of the house and not be too close to the property line or anything. But
If it's
permanent,
in the patio. If it's in the patio, it can't be exactly anything that's a structure.
Well, that is foundation.
Yeah, that, patio. That's usually what they do.
you can't have that.
It can be on concrete, but it can have its.
I get the different covered porches and decks and so on. Would be, right, that's a different animal. So we could have a couple.
But I don't understand. Because I would take this patio and build right to the property line, pretty much, pretty close.
I think there's a setback for that.
There could be, yes.
Yeah. There was on the other houses up in the front when we started the subdivision, that was the issue.
I remember that.
Mhm.
I myself live in a homeowners, but it's a homeowners association. And. You know, when you buy a house like that, you realize what the rules are. Thank you. And,
There you go.
You know, my personal thought process is, you realize what the rules are and the zoning, what the zoning is, you can check from the town and check what the zoning is. And, we make exceptions to the zoning, if it's not a detriment to the neighborhood, so to speak, everybody's happy with it. But if everybody's up and down's not happy with it, they think it's going to affect their house. You know, we don't make that decision. So I have to say, I'm not going to vote yet, I'm not really for this because of that. I feel like the zoning is there for a reason. And we should, and all these people bought houses there. Knowing what the zone was, and now we're changing that. That's my personal view, of than 70 houses, that's my thought process.
I thought it's the same thing. They started the homeowners association for a builder to come in. I'm surprised to hear that. That a builder can come in and change that as he goes without association, which is that's what it's for. White Oaks to this day still has rules and regulations that they have to be abided by when somebody buys a unit in there.
Same with right about that.
Yeah, you don't change that. Yeah, you just don't change that. I'm not in favor of this at all. Thank you.
I mean, is there any way not to offer those big footprints for those lots there?
Well, here we go.
Come on, this is the third time going up.
You know what, can we get up and speak again? No, public meeting is closed. Okay, thank you, just asking.
For David Homes not to offer the big footprints, so they just would now see.
Well, that's pretty much that's what your association should have a right to vote for, I think that's what happens in other divisions. That's why they form.
Well, either, the way it sounds like either we think to shoot it down or we're not doing it. But, it's gonna pass. I just wondered if there's some way that something can be worked out. That the individual lots, and I don't know how this can be done, can be discussed where there's not a concern about all the other lots. pinpoint in the individual lot. Personally, I'd like to table it and find a way to discuss that.
Sounds good to me.
I think we should table it and sit down and have an association meeting with everybody. And let them make a decision on that level before they try to go forward.
I think an attorney or somebody can give us guidance on this and make, you know, I agree with what the association, the homeowners, I agree with 100%. But there are issues that the builder trying to make the sale on the business. So I can see where something like this can make the ease of sale cannot affect the association. There's gotta be, it seems to me there's gotta be a way to do that. That both parties could be, you know, maybe hold their nose and sign it. So,
Houses are gonna sell either way, John.
pardon?
Houses are gonna sell either way.
I don't agree with there. If they're gonna, you know, anybody's gonna buy a house, but if they want a certain type of house and they want this house on this lot and they would like this, then they have to go through to get the variance, but they can't guarantee and how long it's gonna be. I just like, I'd like the table and just see if there's somehow we can't research to make both parties happy. And protect the association. Utmost protect the homeowners.
You did ask us earlier, petitioner, about the negotiation, so I was gonna offer to talk.
Would you like to make a motion?
Well, I don't know if, I'm not sure if we have consensus. I mean, right now, the most that afford to pass or fail.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Okay, motion by Benny to table.
I'll second.
By John, all in favor?
Aye.
Gotta be a way of, well, not doing here.
Okay. The minutes from the last meeting. I assume everyone has read the minutes from April 4th, 2024. Someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to.
Motion by Benny, seconded by Tim, all in favor? Aye. Okay, meetings adjourned at 8:32, so I'd like to make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by John, seconded by Benny, all in favor?
So no one else needs to be voted. If they sit here, so this is tabled until next month, and then we'll make a decision.
It's already tabled till next month, the next month we will make a decision.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good